Hey guys, it's Russell back, and on today's video, I'm not going to be talking about anything that have to do with detailing. The weather's just not good enough outside. I'm going to be talking about something that I think everybody needs to pay attention to, and that is brake fluid. The reason I'm talking about this is because most people seem to think that brake fluid is permafluid. It's permanent. You don't need to change it. You don't need to do anything to it except add it when it gets low in your brake reservoir. And that could not be further from the truth. This is one of the most neglected fluids that needs to be changed on your car. Some people have a hard time just remembering to get their oil changed, but your brake fluid, if you look in your owner's manual, it's probably going to say that it needs to be flushed every 1 to 2 years. Now, is this just something the manufacturers thought up to make another couple $100 off of you at the dealership? No. Let me explain why. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, and hygroscopic means that this has the ability to absorb water, absorb moisture from the air, from the humidity that's in the air, and it will absorb quite a bit of moisture. Now, there are lots of different kinds of brake fluids. You've got DOT3, actually got DOT2, DOT3, DOT4, LHM+, DOT5, and 5.1. I'm going to do a separate video explaining what all the different DOT this and that means, but for this video we're going to be specifically talking about what you can commonly get at the auto parts store, and what probably, if you'll look in your owner's manual or the cap on your brake fluid reservoir, it'll say use DOT 3 or 4. So this is hygroscopic, meaning that it absorbs water. So what happens is, over a period of time, the percentage of water in the brake fluid starts to go up. This is a problem because, number one, the brake fluid has a specific boiling point that the company has designed it to be. Maybe it's 350 degrees, 375 degrees, whatever. It usually will say on the back of the label. If you introduce moisture into the brake system, it lowers the boiling point. Now, you're thinking, well, what do I care? Well, if you use your brakes a lot, and they get really, really hot, that heat is transferred from the rotor and the calipers, or from the brake drum and the brake shoes, into the wheel cylinder, and it finds its way into the actual fluid itself. If you have a lot of moisture in there, it lowers the boiling point, and the fluid can actually start to boil. Well, that produces gas, air, and that gives your pedal a really, really spongy feeling. And it can cause brakes to fail. The other thing that brake fluid is designed for is to lubricate the O-rings and the different components inside both the master cylinder, if you have an ABS module, and also in your pistons and your wheel cylinders. So brake fluid has a very, very important benefit to keeping it clean, to keeping it as new as possible. The other, brake fluid does have a bit of, helps to draw some of that heat away from the components. It's not really designed to cool like engine oil or radiator fluid, transmission fluid, but it does have that effect. And just by being in proximity where the heat is, it's going to have heat transferred to it. So what do? Well, you need to flush your brake fluid. And people are going to go, well, how do you do that? The proper way to renew the fluid is to empty the master cylinder, empty the reservoir, and then go to each of the 4 wheels and flush out the remaining old fluid that's in the lines. First step is you would go in and flush, suck the master cylinder dry, put new brake fluid in there, go to each of the wheels, and bleed the brakes until the new fluid pushed the old fluid out of the lines and the pistons. Now, most people, unless you're really mechanically inclined or a real car gearhead like I am, you're not going to do that. And you should, but you're probably not. Some of you may pay to have somebody do it. Some of you just you don't care. I'm going to show you today, which is the purpose of this video, how to do, I'm going to call it the poor man's brake fluid renewal. If you do what I'm going to show you to do, is it as good as doing a brake flush? No, it's not. So if you're if you're doing the brake fluid flush, great, more power to you, more power to me. But if you're one of those people that don't do anything except add it, at least this will make your brake system last a little longer and get some of that old fluid out. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you very easy how to just empty the reservoir and put new fluid in there. If probably 50% of the volume of the brake fluid that your car has available to it is in the reservoir, depending on your make and model. If you have new fluid in there, at least you're getting some benefits of the new fluid and getting some of the moisture out. Is it the right way to do it? No. Is it the way that you should do it? No. But this is for those people that just don't do anything. So this is better than not doing anything, and it's really, really easy. If you'll see how easy this is, it's not expensive. This can of brake fluid cost about $2.99 at the auto parts store. You're not even going to use all of this. This is it's 12 fluid ounces, so you may use 6 or 8 ounces. You may use the whole can, but so what? If you do this at least once a year, minimum, instead of doing nothing, this will help. Enough blabbing. Let me show you how to empty a brake fluid reservoir and put new fluid right back in it. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do 2 cars. One of them is going to be this Honda Accord, and I will also do the same demonstration on a pickup truck. So you want to locate your master cylinder for your brake, and it's right there. So you're going to see on this car there's 2. There's the brake reservoir, which the master cylinder is under it, and this is the clutch reservoir. This car is a manual transmission. Most cars are automatics and they're not going to have the clutch reservoir, or it runs directly off of here like it does on the Volkswagen. You're not going to believe how easy this is. I'm going to have you go to the 99-cent store or the dollar store and get you a turkey baster. Please remember, if you do this and you use this to remove brake fluid, do not ever, 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 ever put this back in the kitchen. Do not use this for food. You will poison yourself. Be smart about it. And then go inside and get you a cup or suitable container you're going to put the old brake fluid in. Now, this is so easy. Take a clean cloth or paper towel and wipe the dust and debris off of the caps, and take the cap off. Now if you'll look on the cap, it'll tell you exactly what to use. This says use DOT 3 or 4 brake fluid. So we're going to set that aside. We're going to take the strainer, put that aside, and I'm just going to put the cup right there, and all I'm going to do is extract the fluid just like that. Now you see this fluid is about maybe a year old, and it's starting to get a little dark. It is starting to absorb a little moisture. I'll do this again, and we're going to discard this brake fluid in a environmentally responsible method. Now what I want you to really take note of is how much of this fluid is actually coming out. You're not going to get 100% of the fluid out, but that's okay. You're getting a large majority of it. And if you really wanted to get more fluid out, maybe park the car on an incline where the nose is facing down and you'll have more success. As you can see, it's a little bit of a fluid. I'm going to show you what it looks like when I finish this. Also remember, or if you don't know, brake fluid is corrosive, so don't spill it on your paint. It will eat the paint up. If it gets on there, just wipe it off with some soap and water and you'll be fine. Now again, Is this the method that is the best method? Absolutely not. You should do what I'm doing here. Fill it back up with new fluid and then bleed the brakes at each corner. But I do understand that there are some people that just will never do that. And again, at least doing this is better than having the fluid sit in there 4 or 5, 6 years. So I've gotten about as much as I can get out of this reservoir with this turkey baster. And I've probably got about half the cup full. And I'll give you a shot of this later. I'm going to go ahead while I've got this here, and I'm going to put this back on just temporarily and remove the fluid that's in the clutch reservoir. Now, one thing you definitely don't want to do is you do not want to press on the brake pedal with the reservoir empty. You will introduce air into your brake system, and then you will be definitely bleeding the brakes if you ever expect to have a working pedal again. So we're going to do the same thing on the clutch. Now this turkey baster is old. It's from the 80s. That's why it's coming apart here, but it still works good. Now on the truck, I'm going to show you something a little bit different that I actually use. I don't use this turkey baster method because I can't get all the fluid out, and I'm just anal to get all the fluid out. Alright, so at this point is where most of you would be stopping, and the next thing that you would do is take the fluid, old fluid, set that aside, and then let's get a funnel and not be messy about this. Okay, so I've got me a funnel. I'm going to take my brake fluid and just go ahead and fill up the clutch reservoir. It doesn't take much. A little bit more. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the brake reservoir. There should be a low or a fill and add or something. Okay. Now technically you want to have that there because that is a strainer. Okay. Which I didn't, but okay. And we'll take this out. If you have a rubber piece that has actually pulled out, go ahead and push that back in, and then go ahead and put your caps back on. Okay. I'm going to say this again because I know I'm going to have somebody in the comments say you shouldn't do your brake fluid that way. If you're one of those people that don't do anything to their brake fluid ever except add, this method is going to extend the life of your brakes and give you a little bit better pedal feel when they heat up. So again, this method is not for people that do this correctly. When I do the brakes, I empty the reservoir, then I bleed them at all 4 wheels because I want all the old fluid out. But anyway, I wanted to do this video so you guys could see how easy it was. Very quickly, I'm going to show you my method for doing the exact same thing on a different vehicle. Okay, so here we are on a 2001 Dodge Ram pickup, and I'm going to show you what I use. This is an extractor. All right, it's got a handle. You pump this up and down and it produces a vacuum into this chamber, and you can extract anything that you want. I use this all the time. I've had this for years. So I'm going to show you how I extract the fluid out of this reservoir. So I've already cleaned the reservoir. I'm going to take the top off, the cap. See how the rubber piece, when the brake fluid starts getting low, it will suck that rubber piece down, so just push it back in. And I'm going to start pumping this and watch the brake fluid disappear. It makes this very, very, very easy. It's that easy. You can use this for, well, I wouldn't recommend it, but some people use this for oil changes. You can use this for extracting stuff out of your transmission, your brakes, power steering. I also do the exact same thing to power steering fluid. So it's that easy. We're done. It's far quicker. What did that take? Just 10 seconds? Now I'm going to take my brake fluid, and I don't need a funnel for this, and just fill this back up. I'm going to need just a little bit more. All right, so we've got our level back up to the full. I'm going to go ahead and put the cap back on. Since this is really easy to get to, I didn't spill anything. Now again, I'm going to say this one more time because somebody's going to say you shouldn't do it that way. If you're one of those people that have not done anything to your brake fluid, that you never maintained it and don't plan to do it, but can invest a couple of minutes and $3, then this will help your brake system last longer, at least from a fluid level or fluid perspective. So that didn't take any time at all. I'm going to put a link. In fact, let me show you guys, because people are going to want to know. This is the vac that I use. It comes with several different stiff plastic hoses, and I can't tell you, I have had this for probably 15 years. And I like this one because it doesn't use compressed air. It's just a handle that creates a vacuum inside here, and it'll hold nearly a gallon of fluid. So you can do anything. You can, you know, power steering is the other thing that's really good for. So I hope you guys have learned something. I hope that this is something that you'll take with you and start doing to your own cars. Trust me, this is going to do nothing but help your car. Again, if you're one of those people that actually drain the master cylinder like I did and then flush the brakes properly like you're supposed to, then continue doing that, because that's what I will continue to do. But I will do a video on all the different types of brake fluid and explain which can you mix with which, what's the difference, etc., etc. So I hope you guys enjoyed this and have learned something, and I will see you on the next video. Sorry, I forgot. I promised you guys I would show you the brake fluid. This is, you can still see through it. It is starting to get dark, and this brake fluid is only about a year old. Normal brake fluid is nearly clear with just a tinge of amber, but you know, this is probably $1's worth of brake fluid. Anyway, talk to you guys later.